Alrighty, welcome back. I'm Kris. This is part 2 of the real Assassin's Creed, Deadliest Special Forces of the Dark Ages. They just killed somebody. Can you believe that? I mean, they said they were real Assassin's Creed, but they actually stabbed a dude. And he died. Alright, before we get started, you'll scroll down here. Oh look, I already hit the thumbs up button. You could do the same. That would help me out tremendously. Subscribe if you'd like to. What I find weird is people subscribe and then don't watch, but people who aren't subscribed do watch. So I'm mixed as to what I want you to do. So subscribe. What did I say? Subscribe if you'd like to, or not, whatever. If you want to sponsor a video, click on the thanks, donate to the channel, and then tell me what video to react to. You can also ask me to react without donating. It takes a little bit longer, and you can donate and not have me do a video. It's your choice. All right, let's get into part 2. I went back a little bit, but let's get into part 2.
Over the coming years, Hassan presses home his advantage. He launches a range of terror attacks, which would be familiar to us today.
There's about 25 assassinations in this early period. They really do enter quite a little golden patch or a purple patch where they have a number of successes.
They were prepared to do anything to win. The way that the assassins killed was absolutely amazing. They made themselves appear like ghosts. They would come in, stab, disappear. They changed their mode of operating every single time. Only one thing stayed the same, and that was that they killed by a dagger.
Their murder of Al-Mulk triggers the collapse of his Sunni empire. They've proved that their tiny force can take on a vastly superior enemy and win.
They were one of the first groups who used deliberately small groups of highly trained men in asymmetric warfare.
The success of Hassan's elite killers becomes a talking point on the streets. They are celebrated across the Middle East in a popular poem.
It says that with one lone warrior on foot, a king, though he may have 100,000 troopers, would be in fear.
Soon, the Ismailis discover that, like today's suicide bombers, their strategy has a secondary effect. They create an atmosphere of dread.
With terrorism, the fundamental thing you have to remember is that it's psychological warfare. It's not really about how many people you kill. It's about the impact that you have.
It's all the more fearsome because Hassan's men aren't afraid to die.
If you're going through all of this and your weapon is a dagger and you're stabbing someone and you're trying to disappear, you inherently understand the risk of what could happen if you get captured and killed. Like, you understand all that, so you're mentally, you're already ready to do this. So yeah, I can understand. That's what makes them scarier. Sure, I get this. Like suicide bombers, you're willing to die for your cause. That's whew.
The Sunnis face a huge problem with the Ismailis because the men that are sent on these missions happily embrace death. And that obviously makes them truly terrifying.
The echoes today are very familiar. But there is one key difference. The Fidayeen's method is much more precise.
It doesn't have collateral damage. It doesn't strike at innocents. It strikes specifically, cleanly, and discriminately at the target.
The Ismaili strike force is so successful, their Sunni enemies try to discredit them. They spread stories about a secret group of brainwashed killers living up in the mountains.
They were painted as deviants, as drug users, as crazy fanatics. And in much the same way that modern terrorist groups often get the same treatment, that they're fanatics, psychopaths.
The myth becomes more and more exotic. Both Muslims and Western Christians retell the story of young killers manipulated by an evil leader.
There's talks of potions, promises of pleasure gardens forever. Some of the ideas begin to blur a little, that they must be perhaps drug-induced to have this level of devotion.
In particular, the Sunnis label them Hashishian, or users of hashish. The name has stuck.
This morphed into the word that we use today for a political killer, assassin.
And so, a legend is born. Hassan's special forces become known as the drug-crazed assassins.
I don't personally believe that they would have been on drugs. Imagine the focus you need.
I was going to say, you don't go through all that training and then go through the action of killing and then being able to escape if you're sitting around going, oh, baby, come on, baby, just come outside so I can stab you in the face. You're not going to do that, no. You're going to look over and go, yeah, I'm going to go out the back door because the assassin over there who's tweaking, I think I'm just going to avoid him altogether.
You need to confirm that target. The thing about drugs is it has an effect. It suppresses or depresses or enlightens. What it does is take away your focus.
But defeating Nizam al-Mulk is only the beginning. In the future, they will need to use all their fighting skills to defend their community not only against their Muslim enemies, but a new threat from Christian crusaders. Some 50 years later, in the mountains of northern Syria, the Ismaili assassins establish a new base at Masyaf. They take over a network of castles to protect their growing community, soon to be some 60,000 strong. But here in the Holy Land, they find themselves in the middle of an even more dangerous power struggle. A religious war is raging between Sunni Muslims and the Crusaders from the West. At stake is control of the city of Jerusalem and its sacred places of worship. The Grand Master of the Assassins in the Holy Land is Rashid al-Din Sinan, a charismatic leader.
He's got a personality not dissimilar to that of Hassan-i-Sabah, the first great Grand Master. Again, hypnotic, also very engaging, erudite, highly intelligent, very intellectual, but also a paranormal feeling about him. He's supernatural, he's more than this world.
There is enormous devotion and obedience to him. If he tells one of his followers to go and take somebody out to kill them, then they will certainly obey his commands.
Caught between the Sunni Muslims and the Christian Crusaders, Sinan decides to target the man he sees as his biggest threat, the leader of the Sunnis. Saladin the Great is the finest warrior of his age. He has won a string of victories against the Crusaders.
This is a stupid question, I do apologize. I know the name Saladin. There was only one, right? This is the one that I'm thinking of. There wasn't like Saladin the Great and then Saladin like the pretty good, excellent guy. There wasn't any more of these. There was just the one, right? Saladin the Sometimes. Saladin the Salad Eater. That guy wouldn't be scary at all.
He wants to draw the Near East together, Egypt, Syria, northern Iraq, under his...
Yeah, because he was involved in the Crusades. Well, Saladin fought against some of those guys. So yeah, this is Saladin, but there wasn't any others, were there? I apologize. I've got so many Muslim crusaders in my head, and yeah.
rule.
He is also a fanatical champion of the Sunnis.
He is incredibly orthodox as a Sunni. We know that he carried out crucifixions of what are unorthodox or heretical thinkers.
Saladin is a deadly menace to the Ismaili assassins. He is now number 1 on their hit list. In classic assassin fashion, they begin by gathering information for their mission. Syria's bustling cities are an ideal source of intelligence.
The first thing they do is to start dispatching missionaries to recruit locals and build up a network, and then this network would bring back information and intelligence on what was happening there.
They recruit agents most likely to give them local knowledge.
There's a constant flux and mix of merchants, and we know that Ismaili penetration into the merchant class was very strong. So there's a grassroots intelligence available to Sinan. His real skill is that he taps into that so well. We hear stories of him using things like carrier pigeons for communication, but I think what's more important is that in his own mind, he maps out the various pressure points and power plays that are occurring in Syria.
To target a warlord of Saladin's stature, Sinan has to find a way of dealing with his close protection team.
These leaders in a very, very hostile and dangerous world will have had the very best bodyguards in the business. The very best bodyguards, because your life depended on selecting the right guys.
Sinan's network needs to provide detailed intelligence on Saladin's security.
It would be really important to find out how their bodyguards moved, what they did, what they were trained in, how reactive they were. But you would also learn when to exploit the bodyguards, because it's the same for today. No one can be 100% alert all the time. That's where the intelligence network is key. You would find out as much as you can about them.
Armed with this information, the assassins can start training. They need to learn how to tackle the bodyguards.
They have to know how to use this sword. Why? For a very simple reason. If you want to beat your opponent, it's not just what you do, you need to understand them. If they're going to draw their sword, how do you defeat that? The knife can even be used to take out an armed sentry. So as he goes with his gun, you stop him pulling out, you stab him in.
They practice how to take out a single sentry.
First thing you must do is grab his head, pull him in, and then you finish with another stab.
Next, how to tackle two bodyguards.
The weapon is hidden and you walk forward in a calm and composed and respectful manner. Pull out, stabbing 2 shots, and 1 more shot to finish.
After weeks of training, the assassins have one final problem to solve: how to infiltrate Saladin's camp. It's likely they go in disguised as soldiers.
They were very, very good at doing this. I mean, they were able to get people into the most trusted positions because they blended in. They did not seem like a threat. They did not seem like an outsider. "200 miles north of the assassin's territory, Saladin is on campaign. He has no reason to fear a personal attack. He is relaxing in his tent on the day chosen for the strike. The assassins make their move. But the bodyguards prove too strong. For Sinan, it's a setback, not a complete disaster. He's at least shown his enemy he is coming to get him. It gives him the upper hand in the psychological battle with Saladin. Sign number 1. The great Sunni champion starts wearing body armor 24 hours a day. Saladin knows the assassins never give up. Up in the mountains, Sinan bides his time. His next move is to insert a sleeper cell.
The Ismailis are quite prepared to wait. They're quite prepared to put in sleepers, as we might call them. They're quite prepared to wait a great deal of time until it's politically required.
Two years later, Saladin is again on campaign in northern Syria. He's unaware the assassins have secretly inserted an agent within his own bodyguard. Only Saladin's body armor saves him. The great warlord can no longer tolerate this threat. He decides to take the attack to the assassins. Saladin lays siege to Sinan's castle at Masyaf. He is determined to eradicate the assassins once and for all.
I'm just going to stop it there. It's a little short, but I don't want to get into the what's about to happen next, the fighting and any of that stuff. So we're going to cut it a little short, but the next one will be pretty much the same length. Okay? Not much to say on this. I got to go grab something, and then I'm going to jump right back into this. So, be back for part 3. Until then, have a good day, have a good night.